Ladies and gentlemen, I want to ask you a question today, one that I believe is critical to the life you are called to live. Have you ever stopped to consider how much time and energy we waste focusing on the wrong things, worrying about the wrong people, chasing distractions that lead us nowhere? God has given each of us a purpose, a calling, a direction in life, but so often we allow ourselves to get sidetracked. We compare ourselves to others. We dwell on what we cannot change. And before we know it, we've spent days, weeks, sometimes even years focused on everything except what truly matters, our own growth, our own journey, and our own God-given potential. Today, I want to challenge you to shift your focus, to stop wasting time on what does not serve you and start investing in the person God created you to be. Because the moment you fix your eyes on your purpose and refuse to be distracted, that is the moment your life will begin to change. And I promise you, when you focus on what truly matters, you will see God move in ways you never imagined. Time is one of the most valuable gifts God has given us. Every second, every minute, and every hour is an opportunity to grow, to learn, to fulfill our purpose. Yet so many of us spend this precious resource on things that do not serve us, that do not help us become the person God created us to be. We waste time worrying about things we cannot change, entertaining relationships that drain us, and investing our energy in pursuits that lead us nowhere. And when we look back, we wonder where all the time went. The truth is, our time is not infinite. We do not have the luxury of wasting it, because once a moment is gone, we can never get it back. How often do we find ourselves caught up in meaningless distractions? We scroll endlessly through social media, comparing our lives to others, watching their successes, their highlights, and measuring ourselves against a version of their reality that is often not even real. We listen to the opinions of people who do not have our best interests at heart. We dwell on past mistakes, replaying failures over and over in our minds as if reliving them will somehow change the outcome. And while we are doing all of this, life keeps moving forward, opportunities pass by, doors close, and the dreams that once burned so brightly within us begin to fade. Not because they were impossible, but because we were too distracted to pursue them. God did not create us to waste our days in fear, regret, or comparison. He has given each of us a unique purpose, a divine calling that no one else can fulfill. But in order to walk in that calling, we must be intentional with our time. We must guard it, protect it, and use it wisely. The Bible tells us in Ephesians 5:15-16, "Be very careful then how you live, not as unwise, but as wise, making the most of every opportunity, because the days are evil." This means we are to be mindful of how we spend our time. We are to make choices that bring us closer to our purpose, not further away from it. Think about how much time is lost to worry. We stress about the future, about things that may never even happen. We replay conversations in our minds, wondering if we said the wrong thing, fearing what others might think. But Jesus himself tells us in Matthew 6:27, "Can any one of you, by worrying, add a single hour to your life?" Worrying does not change our circumstances. It only steals our peace and our time. Instead of worrying, we should focus on trusting God, believing that He is in control, and using our time to take meaningful action. Another way we waste time is by investing in people who do not pour back into us. We hold on to toxic relationships, trying to fix people who do not want to change. We stay in friendships that drain us, hoping they will one day give us the same energy we give them. But Proverbs 13:20 says, "Walk with the wise and become wise, for a companion of fools suffers harm." Who we surround ourselves with matters. If we spend our time with people who bring negativity, gossip, or drama into our lives, we will find ourselves caught in a cycle that keeps us from moving forward. Time spent with the wrong people is time taken away from becoming the person God wants us to be. Distractions come in many forms. Sometimes they look like entertainment. Hours spent watching television, playing video games, or engaging in mindless activities that do nothing to improve our lives. Other times, distractions come in the form of busyness. We fill our schedules with tasks that make us feel productive, but do not actually bring us closer to our goals. There is a difference between being busy and being effective. Just because we are doing something does not mean we are progressing. We must learn to prioritize, to focus on what truly matters, and to say no to anything that does not align with our purpose. God has given each of us a certain number of days on this earth, and it is our responsibility to use them wisely. Psalm 92:12 says, "Teach us to number our days, that we may gain a heart of wisdom." This means recognizing that time is a gift, and once it is gone, we cannot get it back. Every moment we spend worrying, doubting, or engaging in meaningless distractions is a moment we could have spent growing, learning, and fulfilling our purpose. It is up to us to decide how we will use the time we have been given. Will we waste it, or will we make the most of every opportunity? God has created each of us with a specific purpose in mind. We are not here by accident or coincidence. We are here because He has a divine plan for our lives. Yet instead of focusing on that purpose, we often become distracted by the paths of others. We compare ourselves to people who seem to be doing better, who appear to have more success, who seem to be ahead in life. We look at their careers, their relationships, their achievements, and we wonder if we are falling behind. But the moment we take our eyes off what God has placed in front of us, we lose sight of the path He has called us to walk. Comparison is a dangerous trap. It makes us feel as though we are not enough, as though we are lacking something, as though we need to rush through life just to keep up with the rest of the world. But the truth is, God's timing for you is different from His timing for someone else. He is not measuring your progress based on how quickly someone else is moving. He is not looking at your life and comparing it to another's. He has written a unique story for you, one that is filled with opportunities, lessons, and blessings that are meant for you alone. When you focus on someone else's story, you risk missing out on what He is trying to do in yours. God does not call us to chase after the lives of others. He calls us to be faithful with what He has given us. In Jeremiah 29:11, He promises, "For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord, plans to prosper you and not to harm you, plans to give you a future and a hope." That means your life is already mapped out by the one who knows what is best for you. If you truly believe that, then there is no reason to compare, no reason to envy, and no reason to rush. Your only responsibility is to seek His will and walk in obedience to the calling He has placed on your life. So many people waste time looking around instead of looking ahead. They spend their energy worrying about what others think, about how they measure up, about whether or not they are doing things fast enough. But when your focus is divided between your own path and the paths of others, you slow yourself down. You cannot move forward at full speed if you are constantly looking to the side. A runner in a race does not turn to watch the other runners. He keeps his eyes straight ahead, focused on the finish line. The moment he starts comparing his pace to someone else's, he risks stumbling, losing his rhythm, and ultimately falling behind. The same principle applies to life. When you focus on your God-given purpose, you gain clarity. You begin to see what truly matters. You stop allowing distractions to dictate your decisions. You stop letting the opinions of others control your confidence. You realize that your journey is not meant to look like anyone else's. Instead of asking, "Why am I not where they are?" you begin asking, "Am I where God wants me to be?" That is the only question that truly matters. Too many people seek validation from the world rather than from God. They chase approval, trying to prove themselves to people who have no say in their destiny. But Galatians 1:10 reminds us, am I now trying to win the approval of human beings or of God? Or am I trying to please people? If I were still trying to please people, I would not be a servant of Christ. Living for the applause of others will only leave you empty, constantly seeking more, never feeling satisfied. But when you live for God's approval, you find peace. You find purpose. You stop feeling the need to compete because you understand that God's plan for you is enough. There's nothing wrong with being inspired by others, but inspiration should never turn into distraction. Instead of comparing, celebrate the success of others while staying committed to your own path. Instead of doubting, trust that God has equipped you with everything you need to fulfill your calling. Instead of wasting time trying to be like someone else, embrace the person God has created you to be. No one else can fulfill your purpose. No one else can walk your journey. No one else can accomplish what God has set apart for you. When you shift your focus back to where it belongs, you begin to see progress in your own life. You begin to recognize doors that God has opened specifically for you. You begin to understand that your worth is not determined by how quickly you succeed, but by how faithfully you follow God's plan. The world may tell you to keep up, to compete, to prove yourself, but God simply calls you to trust Him and walk in obedience. That is where true fulfillment is found. Distractions are everywhere. They come in the form of social media, television, meaningless conversations, unhealthy relationships, and even our own thoughts. The enemy does not have to destroy you. He only has to distract you. If he can keep you preoccupied with things that do not matter, he can prevent you from walking fully in your God-given purpose. Every time you allow yourself to get sidetracked, you lose valuable time that could have been spent growing, learning, and moving forward. Distractions do not always appear as obvious obstacles. Sometimes they come disguised as good things, things that seem harmless but slowly pull you away from where you are supposed to be. One of the biggest distractions today is the constant noise of the world. Every day we are bombarded with news, opinions, entertainment, and endless streams of information that demand our attention. The more we consume, the more we fill our minds with things that do not bring us peace, clarity, or direction. Instead of focusing on what truly matters, we become overwhelmed, anxious, and confused. Proverbs 4:25-27 says, "Let your eyes look straight ahead. Fix your gaze directly before you. Give careful thought to the paths for your feet, and be steadfast in all your ways. Do not turn to the right or the left. Keep your foot from evil." The key to staying on course is learning to guard your focus and be intentional about what you allow into your mind and heart. Many people waste their energy worrying about things they cannot change. They replay past mistakes, dwell on failures, and obsess over situations that are out of their control. Worry is a distraction that keeps you stuck. It robs you of joy, peace, and productivity. Jesus himself said in Matthew 6:34, "Therefore, do not worry about tomorrow, for tomorrow will worry about itself. Each day has enough trouble of its own." Worrying does not solve problems. It only drains your energy and keeps you from being present in the moment. Instead of focusing on what might go wrong, focus on what you can do today to move forward in faith. Another common distraction is trying to please everyone. The desire for approval can become a trap that pulls you away from what God is calling you to do. When you spend your time worrying about what others think, you lose sight of what truly matters. People will always have opinions, but their opinions do not define your purpose. Galatians 1:10 reminds us, "Am I now trying to win the approval of human beings or of God? Or am I trying to please people? If I were still trying to please people, I would not be a servant of Christ." Living for the approval of others is a never-ending cycle. No matter what you do, there will always be someone who disagrees, someone who criticizes, someone who expects more. But when you shift your focus to pleasing God, you find freedom. You stop being distracted by what others think, and you start living with confidence in who He created you to be. Procrastination is another way distractions steal your time. When you delay what you know you should be doing, you push your purpose further away. You tell yourself that you will start tomorrow, next week, or next year, but days turn into months, and months turn into years. Before you know it, you are still in the same place, wondering why nothing has changed. Ecclesiastes 11:04 says, "Whoever watches the wind will not plant. Whoever looks at the clouds will not reap." If you wait for the perfect moment, you will never begin. There will always be an excuse, always a reason to delay. The only way to move forward is to take action now, even if you do not feel ready. Social media is one of the biggest distractions in today's world. What was meant to be a tool for connection has become a source of comparison, distraction, and addiction. People spend hours scrolling, consuming content that does not add value to their lives. They compare their behind-the-scenes moments to someone else's highlight reel and feel discouraged. They allow the opinions of strangers to shape their self-worth. Instead of using social media wisely, they let it control their time and focus. Psalm 119:37 says, "Turn my eyes away from worthless things. Preserve my life according to your word." Time spent aimlessly scrolling could be time spent growing, learning, and becoming the person God has called you to be. It is not about removing social media completely, but about using it with intention, ensuring that it does not become a distraction that pulls you away from your purpose. Some distractions come in the form of relationships that do not serve you. Not everyone is meant to walk with you on your journey. Some people drain your energy, fill your mind with negativity, or keep you entangled in drama. You must be discerning about who you allow into your life. Proverbs 13:20 says, "Walk with the wise and become wise, for a companion of fools suffers harm." If someone is constantly distracting you from your goals, your faith, and your growth, it may be time to create distance. Surround yourself with people who uplift, encourage, and push you toward your purpose. To overcome distractions, you must be intentional about your focus. You must recognize what is stealing your time and energy and take action to remove it. You cannot afford to waste your days on things that do not matter. Every moment spent on distractions is a moment taken away from your purpose. Choose wisely what you give your attention to, because whatever you focus on will shape your life. Growth does not happen by accident. It requires intentional effort, discipline, and the willingness to invest in yourself daily. Many people go through life waiting for change to happen, hoping that success, happiness, and fulfillment will come to them without taking any real steps to make it happen. But the truth is, if you are not actively working on your personal, spiritual, and emotional growth, you are staying the same. Nothing in life stands still. You are either moving forward or falling behind. God has given you the ability, the time, and the resources to improve yourself, but it is up to you to use them wisely. One of the greatest investments you can make is in your spiritual growth. Your relationship with God is the foundation for everything else in your life. When your faith is strong, you have clarity, wisdom, and direction. But when you neglect your spiritual life, you become easily distracted, discouraged, and confused. Spending time in prayer, reading the Word, and seeking God's guidance should not be an afterthought. It should be a priority. Matthew 6:33 says, "But seek first His kingdom and His righteousness, and all these things will be given to you as well." When you put God first, everything else begins to fall into place. Personal growth also requires renewing your mind daily. Your thoughts shape your reality. If you constantly feed your mind with negativity, doubt, and fear, you will never reach your full potential. But when you fill your mind with truth, wisdom, and positivity, you begin to develop the mindset needed to overcome obstacles and move forward. Romans 12:02 says, "Do not conform to the pattern of this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. Then you will be able to test and approve what God's will is, His good, pleasing, and perfect will." Transformation begins with your thoughts. If you want to grow, you must be intentional about what you allow into your mind. One of the most common reasons people stay stuck is because they refuse to step outside their comfort zone. Growth is uncomfortable. It requires you to do things you have never done, to face fears and to take risks. Many people choose to remain in familiar situations, even when they know those situations are not helping them grow. They settle for less than what they are capable of because stepping into the unknown feels too scary. But fear is a distraction. It keeps you from stepping into the purpose God has for you. Isaiah 41:10 says, "So do not fear, for I am with you. Do not be dismayed, for I am your God. I will strengthen you and help you. I will uphold you with my righteous right hand." If you want to grow, you must be willing to take steps of faith. Even when you do not feel ready, your habits determine your future. What you do every day shapes the person you become. If you waste time on distractions, negativity, and unhealthy habits, you will not see progress. But if you develop habits that align with your goals, you will see transformation over time. Proverbs 4:26 says, Give careful thought to the paths for your feet, and be steadfast in all your ways. This means being intentional about how you spend your time. Reading, learning, exercising, setting goals, and surrounding yourself with people who challenge you to be better. These are all habits that contribute to your growth. One of the biggest mistakes people make is waiting for motivation to take action. Motivation is temporary. It comes and goes. If you rely on motivation, you will only take action when you feel like it. Discipline is more important than motivation. Galatians 6:9 says, "Let us not become weary in doing good, for at the proper time we will reap a harvest if we do not give up." Success does not come from occasional bursts of effort. It comes from daily commitment and perseverance. Your circle plays a major role in your growth. The people you surround yourself with influence your mindset, your habits, and your direction in life. If you are constantly around people who complain, doubt, and make excuses, you will begin to adopt the same mindset. But if you surround yourself with people who are focused, driven, and spiritually strong, you will be inspired to grow. Proverbs 27:17 says, "As iron sharpens iron, so one person sharpens another." Be intentional about choosing relationships that push you toward your purpose. Growth is not something that happens overnight. It is a process that requires patience and persistence. Many people give up too soon because they do not see immediate results. But just because you do not see progress right away does not mean it is not happening. Small, consistent efforts add up over time. Zechariah 4:10 says, "Do not despise these small beginnings, for the Lord rejoices to see the work begin." Do not get discouraged if you do not see immediate changes. Trust the process, keep going, and remain faithful. The investment you make in yourself today will determine the person you become tomorrow. Discipline is the key to success in every area of life. Without discipline, talent remains unused, potential goes unfulfilled, and dreams remain just dreams. Many people wait for the right feeling or the right moment to take action. But discipline is not about feelings. It is about commitment. It is about making decisions based on long-term goals rather than short-term comfort. Proverbs 12:01 says, "Whoever loves discipline loves knowledge, but whoever hates correction is stupid." Growth comes from consistency, from doing what needs to be done even when you do not feel like doing it. One of the biggest struggles people face is inconsistency. They start with excitement, full of motivation and enthusiasm. But as soon as challenges arise or progress slows down, they lose momentum. They stop putting in the effort because they do not see immediate results. But real progress is not always visible in the beginning. A seed planted in the ground does not sprout overnight. It takes time, care, and patience. Galatians 6:9 reminds us, "Let us not become weary in doing good, for at the proper time we will reap a harvest if we do not give up." If you want to see change in your life, you must be disciplined enough to keep going even when the results are not immediate. Discipline is not just about working hard, it is about working wisely. Many people are busy but not productive. They fill their days with tasks that do not bring them closer to their goals. They confuse movement with progress. But being busy does not mean you are growing. True discipline requires focus. It means setting clear priorities and eliminating distractions. Proverbs 4:25-26 says, "Let your eyes look straight ahead. Fix your gaze directly before you. Give careful thought to the paths for your feet, and be steadfast in all your ways." Every day you make choices that either bring you closer to your purpose or pull you away from it. If you are not intentional, you will waste time on things that do not matter. Self-return is another key aspect of discipline. Many people fail to reach their goals because they allow their emotions and impulses to dictate their decisions. They act based on what feels good in the moment rather than what is best in the long run. Proverbs 25:28 says, "Like a city whose walls are broken through is a person who lacks self-retruth." Without discipline, you become vulnerable to distractions, temptations, and setbacks. You must learn to master your emotions instead of letting them master you. This means saying no to things that do not align with your purpose. even when they seem enjoyable or easy. It means making sacrifices today for the rewards of tomorrow. One of the hardest parts of discipline is pushing through discomfort. Growth is not comfortable. It requires effort, sacrifice, and perseverance. Most people give up when things get hard because they assume difficulty means they are on the wrong path. But challenges are not signs to quit. They are signs to grow. James 1:02 says, "Consider it pure joy, my brothers and sisters, whenever you face trials of many kinds, because you know that the testing of your faith produces perseverance. Let perseverance finish its work, so that you may be mature and complete, not lacking anything." Discipline means showing up even when it is hard, even when you do not feel like it, even when you are tired or discouraged. That is how progress happens. Many people struggle with procrastination. They put off what they know they need to do, telling themselves they will start tomorrow, next week, or next month. But procrastination is the enemy of success. It keeps people stuck in the same place year after year, wondering why nothing is changing. Ecclesiastes 11:04 says, "Whoever watches the wind will not plant. Whoever looks at the clouds will not reap." If you wait for perfect conditions, you will never start. The best time to take action is now. Discipline means doing what needs to be done today, not waiting for some future moment that may never come. Your habits shape your future. What you do consistently determines the person you become. If you develop disciplined habits, waking up early, reading, exercising, praying, learning, and staying focused, you will see progress over time. But if you fall into lazy habits, wasting time, making excuses, and avoiding responsibility, you will stay stuck. Proverbs 13:04 says, "A sluggard's appetite is never filled, but the desires of the diligent are fully satisfied." Discipline means making small, consistent efforts every day, even when you do not see immediate results. Over time, those efforts add up and lead to transformation. Your mindset also plays a role in discipline. If you believe discipline is a burden, you will struggle to maintain it. But if you see discipline as a tool that brings freedom, you will embrace it. Discipline allows you to take control of your life instead of being controlled by circumstance. It gives you the power to shape your future instead of letting life happen to you. Hebrews 12:11 says, "No discipline seems pleasant at the time, but painful. Later on, however, it produces a harvest of righteousness and peace for those who have been trained by it." The effort you put in today will lead to rewards in the future. Discipline is not about perfection. It is about consistency. You will have days when you fall short, when you make mistakes, when you feel like giving up. But the key is to keep going. Success is not about never failing. It is about never quitting. Each day is a new opportunity to make better choices, to stay focused, and to grow. The more disciplined you become, the more control you will have over your life, your future, and your destiny. Your time is your most valuable resource. Once it is gone, you can never get it back. Every moment you spend on something that does not contribute to your growth, your purpose, or your relationship with God is a moment wasted. Many people live as though they have unlimited time, putting off what they know they should do, assuming they will always have another chance. But the truth is, time is passing, whether you use it wisely or not. Psalm 90:12 says, "Teach us to number our days, that we may gain a heart of wisdom." Wisdom comes from understanding that time is precious and should be used with intention. One of the biggest ways people waste time is by living in the past. They dwell on mistakes, regrets, and missed opportunities, allowing past failures to hold them back from moving forward. But no amount of dwelling on the past can change it. What is done is done. Philippians 3:13-14 says, "But one thing I do, forgetting what is behind and straining toward what is ahead, I press on toward the goal to win the prize for which God has called me heavenward in Christ Jesus." If you want to make the most of your time, you must let go of what is behind you and focus on what is ahead. Learn from your mistakes, but do not allow them to define you or keep you stuck. Another way people waste time is by worrying about things they cannot control. Worry drains energy, steals peace, and prevents action. Instead of focusing on solutions, people waste hours, days, and even years consumed by fear and anxiety over things that may never even happen. Jesus said in Matthew 6:27, "Can any one of you by worrying add a single hour to your life?" Worry does not change anything. It only paralyzes you. Instead of wasting time on fear, trust God. Take action where you can and release the rest into His hands. People also waste time by constantly comparing themselves to others. In a world filled with social media, it is easy to look at someone else's life and feel like you are behind, like you are not doing enough, or like you do not measure up. But comparison is a distraction. It shifts your focus from your own journey to someone else's, causing frustration and discouragement. Galatians 6:04 says each one should test their own actions. Then they can take pride in themselves alone, without comparing themselves to someone else. You have a unique path, a unique calling, and a unique timeline. Every moment spent comparing yourself to someone else is a moment taken away from becoming the person God created you to be. Excuses are another way people waste time. They tell themselves they are not ready, that they do not have enough resources, that they are too old or too young, that they will start later when the timing is better. But excuses only delay progress. Ecclesiastes 11:04 says, "Whoever watches the wind will not plant. Whoever looks at the clouds will not reap. If you wait for perfect conditions, you will never move forward. The best time to start is now, with what you have, where you are. There will never be a perfect moment. But every moment you take action brings you closer to your goals." Many people also waste time by surrounding themselves with the wrong influences. The people you spend time with impact your mindset, your habits, and your decisions. If you are constantly around negativity, gossip, and drama, you will be pulled away from your purpose. Proverbs 13:20 says, "Walk with the wise and become wise, for a companion of fools suffers harm." Be intentional about who you allow into your life. Spend time with people who challenge you, encourage you, and push you toward growth. Do not waste time on relationships that drain your energy and keep you distracted from your calling. Another major time waster is procrastination. So many people know what they need to do but put it off, assuming they will have more time later. But time is not guaranteed. James 4:14 says, "Why, you do not even know what will happen tomorrow." What is your life? You are a mist that appears for a little while and then vanishes. You cannot assume you will always have more time. The opportunities you have today may not be available tomorrow. Stop delaying, stop making excuses, and start taking action. Even small steps each day lead to big results over time. Distractions also steal time from what truly matters. Social media, television, meaningless conversations, and unnecessary commitments fill hours that could have been spent on things that bring value to your life. Ephesians 5:15 and 16 says, "Be very careful then how you live, not as unwise, but as wise, making the most of every opportunity, because the days are evil. You must guard your time with wisdom. Set boundaries. Be mindful of how you spend your days and eliminate distractions that do not align with your goals." Using time wisely requires discipline, focus, and the ability to say no to things that do not serve your purpose. Many people struggle with saying no because they do not want to disappoint others. But every time you say yes to something that does not align with your priorities, you are saying no to something more important. Jesus himself understood the importance of setting boundaries. Luke 5:16 says, "But Jesus often withdrew to lonely places and prayed." Even Jesus took time away from distractions to focus on his purpose. You must learn to do the same. Life is short and time is a gift. Every moment you spend wisely brings you closer to your purpose, and every moment wasted is one you can never get back. You must be intentional, focused, and committed to using your time in a way that honors God and leads to growth. The choice is yours.